Well, we're at my folks' house today, you guys, and this is a really fun segment. Now, I have to share with you guys. You guys know my dad, Dave, and we're down at their property, but just to give you a little frame of reference here, our house is just up that way. So when I'm always telling you guys, the kids just run down the hill through the woods, this is the little path they come down to Grandpa and Grandma's house and cause all sort of ruckus and all kinds of trouble down here.
Oh, not really. We love it, all four of them.
So we have a good topic, and it's one that I'm very excited about because this year my vegetable garden is going from one great big wild bed to raised beds. So I have a honeydew list for John that is really long, and raised beds are on the list. So I thought I'd bring you down here in case you guys don't know what raised bed gardening is or you've never seen them before. My dad has 3 gorgeous raised beds, and we're just going to talk about some of the wonderful things about raised bed gardening. This is the perfect time of the year to start one, build one, or put it on your honeydew list if you're looking for something else to add on the list. So Dad, get us in here. Tell everybody how simple this
is the easy way to garden as far as I'm concerned. And believe me, over the years, I've had the old Victoria gardens, Victory gardens, I mean, but this just is so easy. You can move around them real nice. You can reach across them. The soil works up beautifully. They may take a little more watering than a normal in-ground bed because you can get they can dry out a little bit around the sides of the wood and everything else. But the plants are here. The produce is clean when you want it. You can come out, pick before and that comes out and get stuff for a salad like a half an hour before we have salad and everything. It's wonderful. I just can't say enough about them. As a matter of fact, we're going to add a couple more this year. These have only been here about 3, maybe 4 years, and I just can't even tell you the amount of produce that we've pulled out of these things between tomatoes and beans and lettuce and everything in a relatively short period of time. So
the cool thing about them, so just so you guys are very, very clear, you know, they're very European, these raised beds gardens, especially I love the way that you built them, but the whole concept basically is that you're taking some material, whether it's wood or cinder block or bricks or stone. I mean, you could do raised bed gardens with pretty much anything, treated wood, untreated wood, depends on if you're growing vegetables or just flowers. And then you're building sides. You can put them on gravel if you want, or on you know, just dirt, or even you know, on brick if you wanted to do something more temporary. You build them with, what do you use, Dad, here? 2 by...
These are about 8 to 10 inches deep. They are not in the ground. They are right on top of the ground. So these happen to be 4 by 6. They appear a little bigger than that, but you'd be surprised at what you can squeeze into a bed even this size. It's really quite remarkable and everything else. And like I say, they're handy. They're so easy to work with. If a person ever had to, you could lift these out and move them to another spot or something rather than just leave them here, but well, and it's great. It's nice because, look, you can sit down and garden. The goal is always with a raised bed garden is that you make it only wide enough that you can reach into the garden, into the center, which of course is great. As you can see, Dad can easily hoe. You can make them as long as you want, but usually they're typically, you know, not more than, I would say, wouldn't you say like 4 feet or so is about right? Yes, I think 4 feet is a Watch it, her mom's going to come over here and she's going to rip that thing out of your hands because you're going to be... There's some plants left in here from last year, and he's going to get himself in trouble here. I think 4 by 6 is a real nice size. I wouldn't go any wider. You could go 8 or 10 foot. Yeah, you could go 8 or 10 foot for length, but because this way you can reach all the way across if you stay with the 4 foot width and everything else. Yeah. But what's nice about it too is there's no mowing problems. We love this look. We love this look with the kind of a European look with this. I love the We have a kind of a red tannish, a kind of a gravel that we had brought in. So and when we put a couple more in here, we'll be adding some more so that we have freedom to walk all the way around and not have to worry about it. When the lawnmower goes by, you aren't throwing grass and everything into your beds. It keeps them nice and clean. Well, and what's cool about it too is, you know, I love that yours are rectangular, but really, you could do them in any shape. You could do, you know, a center piece one that was sort of octagonal. You could do triangles around it. You could create your own version of a formal garden if you wanted to, which is neat. I love how yours are all in a row and very symmetrical, and then you just have the obelisk. And that's something I want to point out too, because that's a cool point that you have, you know, they put these obelisks in the middle, and that's really wonderful. And they have
what do you have, clematis growing up here?
We have clematis on them right now, but
so
we've decided this year to enlarge the garden a little bit and get a little more produce out of it. We're going to move the clematis someplace else and put climbing, we think probably beans, string beans or something like that on the obelisk now.
Yeah, that's, you know,
which is beautiful too. I mean, it gives
you... And to have the architecture and height.
It gives you some height in your gardens. It gives you a nice look, a lot of leaf. They do have a flower on them before the bean comes.
Elegant.
So, absolutely.
You guys use them for a lot of herbs, and I think, you know, one of the great things about raised bed gardening is that they're easy, the maintenance is really easy. You can water them easily. So think like a regular garden, you're watering everything. So what a huge waste of water, right? But in these, you're literally everything, you're watering just this, you're fertilizing just this, you're composting just this. Versus a huge garden, you're spending all that money composting the whole thing and weeding. I nearly killed myself last year weeding my vegetable garden. And then I went to Hong Kong for 2 weeks in the summer and the whole thing just got out of control. So I said to John, I need a new plan. Mama needs a new plan for a garden, and these are going to be it.
One of the unique things about a small bed like this too is when I plant varieties of lettuces, I'll mix them together, right, in the seed sacks and everything else. And I'll plant them just like you're planting grass seed. They just come up in mass, and you can just do it. You can do the same thing with beans and everything else. You don't have to go the old way of putting a row of this in and a row of that in and everything else. You're right here where you can work with all this stuff. And you know, your beans and a lot of the summertime is beautiful. They'll be up like this. These are absolutely emerald green with the lettuces and things when they're working. It's really a joy to work with this than the old type of gardening from, I guess you might say, years gone by.
Yeah. It's just, they're practical, they're beautiful. I also want to point out just one more thing. You know, again, you can top them beautifully. So for instance, I love that that you did this little cap on top of it, which you don't have to do, but I think it adds that little extra bit of elegance. It finishes them off nicely. And then these beautiful finials, which you can buy these things pre-made anywhere, any kind of garden center or any of your big
lumber companies carry them.
You know, they have big bins of these things, so you don't have to pay a lot of money for them. But these are so simple. I think, what did you say, Dad? You put all these together in a couple of hours?
Yeah, I think two, maybe it was 3 hours.
Come on, that's amazing.
A few screws.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Power saw. It takes next to nothing to do it, or you could have them made because somebody could bring them in on a truck, you know what I mean? You could almost literally order them someplace from a local carpenter or something like that too, and
they're not crazy expensive.
They're not heavy.
No.
2 people can set one in place.
Yeah.
These are actually just sitting here. There's not even stakes on the inside to hold them in place. I've left it up to the dirt, anchor itself to the ground underneath, and so they don't move around at all.
They have a lot fewer problems with weeds and things too. And if you wanted to, depending on your style of gardening, or if you've never gardened before and this would be a great, if you were a beginner gardener, don't you think this would be a perfect way for someone to start a little garden?
I think a real deal would be for like your sons.
Yes, exactly. Oh, I'm going to literally have one for each of them.
Have one for each child or something. Let them do what they want to do. Their gardening.
Yeah.
What a wonderful way to start a child on something like that.
Absolutely.
With a little garden of their own, and let them do what they want. You know.
Yeah, play around with it.
These are what I like about these too. If you do need to add a little organic matter or something like that too, you don't have the stuff all over. You dump a bushel basket full of stuff in here. You're ready to go. Work it into the ground a little bit. You're ready to go.
So whether you guys are, you know, seasoned gardeners, or whether you've never gardened before, you're just thinking about the idea of it, this is not an intimidating way to start gardening. It's a beautiful way to start. You could put whatever you wanted, herbs, vegetables, flowers. You could do a mix of things, and you could add architecture with an obelisk if you wanted to. You could put a beautiful little statue in the middle, or a pretty little water feature like a fountain. There's a gazillion things you could do, but just know it's beautiful. We'll probably come back down here when these things are in full bloom, and then when our vegetable garden raised bed is starting to go, we'll give you another peek and, you know, let you know what we're doing. And I think we're going to wrap it up because the two of us can talk. Happy gardening.